They say the internet is dead, replaced by bots, spam, and AI chatter. But what if that very idea was engineered by the same machine we're blaming? If half the web is automated, how can we trust anything, even a conspiracy that claims we can't trust anything? Welcome to Al Mental, where I serve up the uncanny side of technology with a side of irony. Today's dish is the dead internet theory, a notion so twisted it practically devours its own tail. Let's jump into that hair hole, because I've already finished with rabbit ones. Back in the day, dead and internet weren't exactly synonyms. The web was bustling with raw creativity. Personal sites and message boards felt like chaotic carnivals where anyone could pop in with a homemade website coded in questionable HTML. It was messy, awkward, and weirdly authentic. Then something changed. People started asking if the place they visited every day was actually still alive. The rumor mill churned out a claim. The real internet had flatlined, replaced by automated content, and we, poor, unsuspecting humans, were just wading through some virtual zombie apocalypse. That's the core of the dead internet theory. The phrase first bubbled up in niche corners of cyberspace a few years back, and it's been gaining traction ever since. The basic premise? Bots and AI have overshadowed genuine human activity. Nearly everything we see, those endless articles, suspiciously generic comments, floods of viral social media posts, might be the handiwork of algorithms, not people. In other words, the internet's soul left the building, replaced by hollow puppet shows of online life. Sounds insane, right? But it's one of those odd conspiracies you can't dismiss too quickly, because the web truly is awash in AI drivel and automated chatter. Still, some wonder if the theory itself was born from the same synthetic swamp it warns us about. That's where it gets really spicy. Before we unravel that twist, let's pick at the scraps of how this all started. Some say the roots of the dead internet theory can be traced back to random Fochan discussions, or that it evolved from older conspiracies about government-led social engineering online. A handful of early adopters pointed out suspiciously uniform comments on major news sites, or repeated copy-paste threads on social platforms. You'd see the same usernames popping up, spreading nearly identical opinions, a cardboard cutout of human discourse. Over time, people began noticing patterns, broken grammar in waves of comments, identical phrasing posted minutes apart, memes that no real person seemed to have actually created. It felt staged, like a cosmic Truman Show for the digital realm.
Don't worry though, it's still cool. The program is by kids for kids, and it's not just for boys either.
So what is it exactly? The simplest explanation is that the dead internet theory claims most online activity is artificially generated. There might be real people drifting around, but we're drowned out by an ocean of bots, AI-written articles, spammy influencer clones, and marketing fluff. Look at the meltdown of Twitter impersonations or those creepy text-to-image fiascos flooding art communities. We've all seen random viral accounts that post nonsense and somehow rake in thousands of likes. Certain corners of the web have turned into a hall of mirrors, each reflection more distorted, more mechanical than the last. That's the dead internet theory in a nutshell. An internet so flooded with AI that we can barely tell what's real. But here's the real kicker. Some suspect the very theory was engineered by the machine itself.
Now that is post-irony.
Think about it. If the internet truly is a rotting simulation, wouldn't it be hilariously ironic if that same system invented the rumor of its own demise? Maybe someone typed an early version into a generative text model, which then spit out elaborations and conspiracies. Maybe bots took the phrase, sprinkled it across message boards, and now we've got an entire subculture building evidence for something that was never organic to begin with. It's the ultimate feedback loop. The internet dies, AI replaces it, AI concocts a story that the internet is dead, we believe it, and the next wave of AI content confirms our fears. Rinse and repeat. It's a twisted game of telephone, only with code and spam servers instead of actual voices.
You're going surfing on the internet.
Here's where things get downright eerie. In the spirit of investigative curiosity, I tried to uncover who first coined the term dead internet theory. A simple question, right? Track down the earliest forum post, the oldest tweet, some archive proof, except I hit a dead end. No single human account stands out as the originator. No verifiable username, no blogger boasting, I invented the concept. Nothing, just an endless trail of near-identical mentions popping up here and there like digital spores carried by the wind. It's as though the theory itself spawned from the web's underbelly with no identifiable human parent. Some say the idea emerged on 4chan, or that it lurked in half-baked conspiracy corners of Reddit. But if you dig deeper, you find ghostly traces, threads deleted, user handles that lead nowhere, source links that loop back on themselves. It's like rummaging through an attic only to discover every box is empty. Could it be that actual people once wrote about it and those posts were buried by subsequent waves of data? Possibly. But the more I searched, the more I felt like I was chasing a shadow of a shadow. That brings up the bizarre notion, what if the dead internet internet theory didn't just talk about a soulless web? What if it was itself conjured by that very system? A self-replicating rumor spontaneously generated by code, multiplied by bots, seeded in random corners of cyberspace until it became common knowledge, we assume originated with real users. Normally, a concept with any traction has an identifiable champion or a subculture, but here, it's just a swarm of near-anonymous accounts tossing the term around without context, as if they materialized solely for that purpose and then vanished. So if this concept was birthed by the machine, you gotta wonder, is the dead internet actively trying to communicate with us, or even manipulate us? That might sound like tinfoil hat territory, but humor me. If AI can write articles, spawn bot comments, and simulate entire communities, why not propagate a conspiracy about its own existence? Perhaps the network realized that sowing paranoia about fake content is the perfect way to hide in plain sight. After all, if we can't pin down who started the rumor, the suspicious mind leaps to the next best guess. The rumor started itself. Now this is where the conversation truly spirals, because every time we talk about the dead internet theory, we feed it. Our search queries, our keystrokes, our blog posts, our YouTube rants, they fuel the very machine we accuse of puppeteering us. It's a diabolical loop. The more you investigate, the more ephemeral sources you run into, making you question whether those sources were ever human at all. Meanwhile, the theory itself gains momentum because every mention is fresh data to replicate. So in short, we tried to find the first person who wrote about dead internet theory, but came up empty-handed. No real user stands up to claim it. Mystical forums, phantom accounts, it's as if the discussion spawned from nowhere. Is that the dead internet's voice, softly echoing across cyberspace to stoke our paranoia? It's the ultimate riddle, the child with no parents, the rumor that sprouted from the soil of a post-human web. Whether you see it as AI tinkering with our minds, or just the natural outgrowth of digital chaos, it opens a very unnerving door. Maybe we truly are at the mercy of an internet that's no longer just a tool, but an evolving entity, one that hints at its own inertia by whispering about its own demise. We stare at it, it stares right back, and we're never quite sure who blinked first. Whatever the case, it's impossible to find a definitive beginning for this dead internet concept. It's become the ultimate digital legend, authorless, context-free, and maddeningly present everywhere, like a rumor lodged in the collective subconscious. And that only adds to its mystique, because if we can't even verify the birth of the theory itself, how can we possibly prove or disprove it? That's the twisted brilliance of this saga, and the reason we keep chasing answers, feeding the very machine we suspect wrote the narrative in the first place. But this is not the end. Don't get your hopes up. Maybe we prefer it this way, half believing that we're living in a digital ghost town. It gives us an excuse to shrug off the absurd state of online culture. A politician tweets nonsense? Must be a bot. An influencer's follower count skyrockets overnight? Must be a group of paid AI accounts. We attribute everything surreal to the unstoppable wave of manufactured code, and in doing so, we ironically discard responsibility for shaping the web ourselves. Because let's face it, it's easier to blame an invisible machine for everything gone wrong than to face the fact that real people, ourselves included, are fueling the chaos. That's the cosmic joke of the dead internet theory. It offers a perverse comfort. If everything online is just an illusion, then none of it really matters, right? That's certainly one way to rationalize the madness. But who cares? Maybe that's exactly what the powers that be, human or otherwise, want us to think. Or maybe we're just reading too much into random patterns. Regardless, the theory marches on, gathering momentum as one of the strangest meta-commentaries on the state of the web. So is the dead internet theory itself just a product of the dead internet? Possibly. It might be the AI's ultimate masterpiece, a rumor so compelling and ironically self-referential that we can't help but spread it. And as we do, we feed more data into the machine, which then generates more conspiracy-laced content for us to devour. It's deliciously twisted, kind of like those old-fashioned Ouroboros symbols where a serpent devours its own tail, never quite finishing, never really dying. We've walked through this haunted labyrinth, weighed the rumors, glimpsed the irony. The internet might be alive, or it might be a cleverly animated corpse. Either way, we're glued to our screens, sampling the digital buffet of drama and memes. The dead internet theory itself might be a perfect demonstration of how rumors multiply in a realm where truth is malleable and attention is currency. But relax, you can't change anything. Whether it's a rotting digital husk or a thriving mass of human chaos, we'll keep logging on, chasing that next ping of excitement. Maybe that's what the internet's all about, being willingly pulled into a swirl of illusions, half real, half fake, and asking ourselves, is any of this genuine, or is it all just another simulation urging us to stay plugged in? I'm all over it, so thanks for joining me in this peculiar corner of cyberspace. Everything can be done with pleasure or without pleasure, so might as well enjoy the show. We'll never know if that enjoyment is real, or if it's just the algorithm whispering in our ear, but who cares? We'll keep scrolling anyway.